And good evening. Welcome to another edition of For FSU Weather alongside Tawana Jordan. Andrew, I'm student meteorologist Jack Holland.
And just so you know, guys, September is National Preparedness Month.
Yes, it is. We're starting to get into the latter part of September, but the show hasn't talked about National Preparedness Month. And mainly that is NOAA trying to give us awareness of natural disasters and how to prepare for them.
Yes, and they have 3 main steps that you should take. Know your risk, take action, and be an example to those around you.
Yeah, especially if you have a family with kids, it's always good to sit down with them, talk to them about what you would do during a hurricane, tornado, flood event, and other natural disasters, right, Tawana?
Exactly. Like, especially during a tornado, you need to know your safe room. That means a room with no windows in the center of your house. It's like the safest place for you to be.
Yeah, a good spot for that would be in your bathroom, in your tub. You could put a mattress over yourselves when the tornado is coming in if there is debris, and you can protect yourself and shield yourself from flying debris.
Yeah, since during hurricanes, before hurricanes especially, make sure you have all your supplies. Food, water, batteries, lanterns. Just make sure you are prepared beforehand so you will be safe throughout the event.
It's always good to get those things ahead of time too, Tawana, because, a week before a hurricane comes, those items always get taken off the store shelf. So it's always good to have a preparation.
Good.
But hey, we're going to send it to the wall to our favorite field meteorologist, Troy Fields.
Alrighty, thank you guys at the desk, and we're going to take a quick look at your overview. And as we look ahead at your weather headlines, we will still see the chance for rain showers over the next couple of days that is associated with the stationary front that's draped across our region. But as we head later to the week, that will give way to some fantastic and gorgeous weather, especially as we head to this weekend. And yes, even the chance of fall-like weather still. I know, folks, fall will be in full swing soon, I promise. But as we look ahead at your satellite radar, you can see our weather player across the northwest. We'll talk about more of that later in the show, but we want to focus our attention to the southeast, where that effects of the stationary fronts is causing unsettled weather, lots of rain showers along the peninsula of Florida. So once again, we'll talk about more later in the segment. As we look ahead at tonight's forecast, a cool night, actually a mild night ahead with temperatures in the low 70s with the chances of rain possible. But let's throw it back out to the desk who understand we're going to talk about some Mexican mudslides.
Yeah, that's right, Troy. Last week, me and Ryan Smithies reported about a Acapulco mudslide that has actually claimed 130 lives, Mexican authorities say.
That is so unfortunate, and it's due to Tropical Storm Manuel and Ingrid. So that shows that hurricanes aren't just wind events, they can be actual rain events.
Yeah, another good thing to talk about National Preparedness Month. You could always be ready for a flood too. When you do see water start sitting on the ground, start rising, you always want to look for those high land spots, right, Tawana?
That's true. And if you're trying to escape a flood, do not go through standing water. That is always a bad thing.
Yeah, never drive through standing water that's past 6 inches in height, because that can take your car away, actually.
And that's absolutely terrifying.
Water is a very dangerous thing to play with. But hey, we're going to send it back out to the wall with another local from Troy.
Alrighty, guys, I'm back again doing the local, but we're going to look at your current temperatures across the capital city. 84 degrees right now with overcast skies. And if we look ahead at a broader view of our temperatures across the Bend region, most of the viewing areas are seeing temperatures in the 80s, once again 84 degrees in Tallahassee, and 83 degrees in Wilma. But as I step off towards the other side of the screen, 77 in Perry. And so these overcast skies is really helping to keep our temperatures at bay. But coupled with this really comfortable temperatures, just this high humidity as we look at towards our dew points. Remember, dew point is a good indicator of how much moisture is in the atmosphere. And when dew points get into 70s, it's just downright oppressive, and it just feels so sweaty and sticky out there. It's just really uncomfortable to be out there, folks. But I'm going to move on towards your satellite and radar, and as you see that not a lot of action going on across the Big Bend region right now, with the exception of a few pop-up showers, mainly to the south of us. And as we've been stuck in this unsettled weather pattern over the past couple weeks, especially on the weekend, we were just seeing the chance for lots and lots of rain showers. And so it really just has been a great day if you want to do any outdoor activities, especially college students just walking around on campus, just really, not fun walking in this, inclement weather. But, changes are on the way. But before we get to that, we're going to look at your watches and warnings because of this unsettled weather. We do have, flash flood watch around sections to the west of Tallahassee. So again, turn around, don't drown, you know the phrase. So if you come across any floodings, you want to make sure that you avoid it because your life is really more important. But in the meantime, we're going to look at your future casts. Let's give you a rundown what's going to happen over the next couple of days. You can see that our stationary front will be moving out of the way, and this cold front will begin to drop south, and we'll finally begin to reach drier and more pleasant conditions, and even the chance of seeing more fall-like weather, which is something that really is good to hear this time of year. But moving on towards your future criteria again, our showers will begin to still the threat for showers over the next couple of days, but tonight's forecast, mild temperatures in the low 70s, and tomorrow's forecast, temperatures in the upper 80s with the chance for showers. And we'll look ahead at your 7-day forecast. Again, Wednesday and Thursdays will still run the risk for showers, but once that cold front passes on through, it will give way to very, very pleasant conditions for temperatures in the mid-80s. But we're going to throw it out to the southeast with Allie. And Allie, it's just really been gorgeous weather over the past, what I should say, last week, but this weekend it was just very, very, just muggy outside and just so sticky. Tell us more about that.
Beautiful weather, let me tell you. As you can tell here, there is a lot of moisture along the southeast. Florida is just completely covered in rain for the most part, especially towards the Tampa Bay area, as well as to our west over by Alabama and Mississippi. There is a front approaching. So a lot of rain in the general area. There is a flash flood watch for areas west of Apalachicola and the Chattahoochee rivers. So please keep that in mind because there's expected to be 1 to 3 inches of rain, potentially up to 6 inches of rain. So please be mindful of that. We also have for Florida flood watches for much of the west coast of central Florida. So definitely be mindful of that, and severe weather watch. So be careful tonight, folks, as you're driving around because there is the potential for some severe weather and rain. So current temperatures right now, pretty moderate in the 80s for much of Florida. To the north, 77 in Savannah and 70s along most of the southeast. But then as we approach the west, where they do not have that much moisture, 93 degrees in Shreveport, and Little Rock is at 88. Current dew points is a good indicator of how much moisture there is out in our area. Right now, temperatures are pretty high, 73 here in Tallahassee, and mostly in the 70s across the southeast. And that's giving us these high relative humidities right now, 79 in Montgomery, 81 in Atlanta. It's feeling pretty muggy and sticky out there. And also in Florida, humidities are in the 70s. So we can see all this moisture here, and the dry air more to our west. And the reason why it's so overcast is that we have that stationary front and moisture coming in from the Gulf, but as we approach the weekend, temperatures are going to be feeling nicer, a little bit lower and drier as well as we have this cold front pushing through, and we'll have a nice dry weekend. So just keep that in mind because all this rain will go away, folks. Tonight it will rain a bit more all across the southeast, and it will continue into tomorrow as we see rain chances all around the southeast, except to the west you are having drier conditions. Tallahassee, expect a 90-degree high tomorrow, as well as New Orleans and 80s, and to the north a little cooler at 70s. But let's take it back to the desk with Jack and Tawana.
Hey, thanks there, Allie. Now, hey, we're going to jump into our favorite segment here at FSU Weather, weather history. Right, Tawana?
Right, and today we're going to talk about the Great Hurricane of 1938, also called the Long Island Express. And it's the strongest, most devastating, and the deadliest hurricane for the Northeast region.
Yeah, it actually killed up to 800 people, which is just a massive amount of people to be killed by a hurricane.
Yeah, it had tidal surges up to 26 feet. That's on top of the actual tide. The water surge up to 26 feet.
Yeah, very crazy hurricane.
Absolutely nuts.
Back in the earlier years in the 1900s, we didn't have as much data on it, so that's actually before we actually named hurricanes, so that's why it's coined the nickname of the Long Island Express hurricane.
And it hit with wind speeds of 121 miles an hour. and gusts up to 186. That is absolutely crazy.
It is crazy, but hey, we're going to switch gears and send it to our first national with Troy yet again.
I know, guys, I just can't seem to stay away tonight, folks, but it's good to be here. But in the meantime, we're going to look at your national temperatures and look at the Northeast. We're seeing very cool fall-like temperatures, 65 degrees in Detroit and 64 degrees in Boston, but the warmth is still down towards the I-10 corridor with 87 degrees in New Orleans, look at that, 98 degrees in San Antonio. But we're going to look towards your satellite and radar, and we do have a little low pressure system that is moving off towards the northwest coast. That's giving some snow. I'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to focus our attention in the southeast, which, by the way, we do have some warnings around the Florida Panhandle, flash flood watches. So that is due to the unsettled weather that we've been seeing over the past few days. And we also have a severe thunderstorm watch in portions of Alabama, and that means severe thunderstorm watch is that conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms. So just make sure you heed your local weather authorities and stay tuned for that. But as I mentioned, we're going to focus our attention in the southeast, and we do have a stationary front that has dropped across the region. That has given all sorts of unsettledness and just really, terrible weather. Not the best day for beach goers. And just very heavy rains in the central and southern Florida. So, hopefully you guys have an umbrella if you have any outdoor activities. But trucking along towards the northwest coast, as I mentioned, we have a low pressure system that is causing some pretty interesting weather. Snow in the higher elevations, so great skiing weather. We could see some few inches of snow. So really just take advantage of seemingly winter-like weather in the fall season. But moving on along towards the northeast, again, not a lot of action going on right now. We do have a little bit of a upper level low around the Canadian upper portions of New England, but that's beginning to wane down, and so just light showers at that. Nothing to worry about going on there. And just to give you one more time to look at the what's going on across, portions of the U.S. And there is the bulk of the action across in the southeast. But airport delays, not looking too bad. So good air travel, across most of the country right now. Tonight's forecast: mild temperatures across the southeast with 70s in the I-10 corridor, 74 degrees in Tallahassee. Cooler in Detroit, 48 degrees. And tomorrow's forecast, more hotness on the I-10 corridor with 90s, but the northwest is being the coolest spot in the nation with 57 degrees in Billings, Montana. Now let's toss it to your local with Aaron. And Aaron, it's so downright muggy in the southeast. Tell us more about that.
Thank you, Troy, for the look around the country. You are exactly right. It is extremely muggy out there, and that's because of basically all of this cloud cover and low-level moisture that's been in our area for the past couple of days. We didn't really see that much rain, though, today. Most areas just saw a few sprinkles out there. I'm sure everyone at least got in on a little bit of drizzle, but tonight is when we can really see the threat for some more heavy rainfall, especially areas that are going to be west of Tallahassee. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that we were kind of lucky today, as most of the activity is well to the south near the Tampa area. That's associated with a low pressure system in the eastern part of Gulf of Mexico. And if we look to our west and slightly towards the north, you see a lot of activity there, and that's the system that's going to be heading towards the east tonight and bring that heavy rainfall to the western counties of our viewing area. Right now, we're still seeing those overcast conditions. Didn't really allow temperatures to break out of the 80s at all today. 83 degrees right now with very high humidity, and that is the reason that when you step outside, it is a little bit uncomfortable. Monticello saw a few more showers recently, as well as in Thomasville. That's why they are in the 70s right now. Otherwise, lower 80s is the story across the region, and tonight those temperatures will be falling down into the lower to mid 70s. Looking at the dew point, this is really the number that you want to look at when you're trying to figure out how uncomfortable it is when you're going to be outside. And whenever you see dew points above 70 degrees, you know that you have a really moist layer of low-level moisture out there. So when you see 70s all across the board, you also know that you have the threat for the locally heavy rainfall, and we'll have to watch out for some flash flooding later on this afternoon. But good news is on the way. That stationary front that's bringing all of the messy weather is going to finally scoot on out of here. This cold front drops down by Thursday around dinner time. Drier conditions finally come into play. This is actually going to be the first real sneak peek of fall. I wouldn't be surprised if some of our northern areas maybe even drop down into the upper 50s by the time you wake up on Friday Friday and Saturday morning. So it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous weekend. You have something to look forward to, and you'll finally be feeling a little bit more like fall. For tonight and into tomorrow, though, this is one model of what it could potentially look like as far as rainfall is concerned for tomorrow. Looks by finally tomorrow, late afternoon time is when that rain will finally start to shift out a little bit. Maybe in our more southern and eastern portions of the viewing area, that's where we could still see a little bit of rain for tomorrow afternoon. But otherwise, it looks like we're finally going to start to dry out, even though it feels like we've been in this muggy pattern for quite some time. Tonight, a little bit of rain possible, especially areas west of Tallahassee. Tallahassee is probably going to stay pretty dry, maybe just a few sprinkles out there, about a 40% chance of rain. And eastern areas actually have a little bit of a greater chance of rain as well, especially like Dixie, Taylor County area. For tomorrow, another day in the 80s, most likely overcast skies, possibly just a few breaks of sunshine out there, but chances are that you won't be seeing the sun here. So if we break it down just a little bit, basically there's a chance for showers all day, so just keep that umbrella on hand. And 7-day forecast showing good news for the weekend. Lots of sunshine, not even really a chance for rain Friday and Saturday, and another system moves in for the start of your next work week. We're going to talk, though, right now with Allie and Troy at the desk about Hurricane Rita that made landfall on this day in 2005.
Yes, Aaron, that's right. 2005, we had Hurricane Rita made landfall. Today, though, no hurricanes.
Thank goodness for that. But of course, talk about Hurricane Rita. Occurred during the record-breaking 2005 hurricane season. Who could forget that?
I certainly cannot. It made landfall just a short period after Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana.
And it made landfall near the Texas-Louisiana border as a Category 3 hurricane, winds 115 miles per hour. But it was also the strongest tropical cyclone recorded with a pressure of 895 millibars.
Wow, that is really intense. And it also would cause $512 billion in damage to Louisiana. I can only imagine that is horrendous.
Yes, and just thankfully once again that no hurricanes are occurring across the Atlantic Basin. But in the meantime, we're gonna send it back out to around Florida with Jack and Jack. It's just so muggy in the state right now. Just tell us more about it.
I know, Troy. I know you hate that muggy conditions, but hey, it's going to stick around for the next couple days or so. 83 though right now in Tallahassee, 79 down in Tampa, 80 degrees in Jacksonville. So you can see those fall-like conditions starting to push into our region. We're dropping down. We saw 90s last week. It's only 73 degrees in Fort Myers, so we are having a bit of a cool-off, which is quite pleasant. Once those clouds and that mugginess gets away, though, we'll feel even better. The reason why those temperatures were so low, though, in Tampa and Orlando, you see this blob of moisture just pushing through the I-4 corridor, bringing a lot of rain, heavy rain, actually, in some regions into Clearwater and St. Petersburg, as you can tell by those yellows and reds on the map. But you make it towards our region, we had those few showers earlier this morning, but some storms starting to drift off into Jacksonville, into Ponte Vedra areas. But most of the panhandle staying relatively quiet for right now. Water vapor shows all that moisture sitting above Duval County into Jacksonville and also along that I-4 corridor of Tampa and Orlando. But if you look towards Tallahassee in that black-white area, that's more dry air in our region. So staying relatively quiet. Nice night ahead for us. I don't think we'll see too many showers tonight. Watches and warnings. We have some flood warnings in the Tampa Bay region to Polk County, Hillsborough County, making its way into Citrus County. But as we make our way towards the panel, we also have a flood warning west of us because of all that rain that was to the west. What we can expect for the next few days, we have a cold front that will start pushing through our region Wednesday into Thursday. Once that baby passes through us on Thursday, that's when we'll start getting those drier conditions in the region. We might even drop down to 65 degrees as a low on Saturday. I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but hey, we're very excited for the fall temperatures to finally get into the region. Our Futurecast radar showing the rain model of the next few days. We could see some rain pushing through our region into tomorrow evening, mainly going through Tallahassee, but as we progress, we'll see that rain starting to get out of the way, and we'll see a few storms hovering around Fort Myers into Tampa. But I think the panhandle of Florida will be nice and dry as we make our way into Thursday, and even better yet on Friday after that cold front pushes through. But what can we expect for tonight? 74 in Tallahassee, 72 in Jacksonville. Warmer temperatures down in Tampa, 77 degrees and 77 degrees as well in Fort Myers. Tomorrow's forecast, though, another hot one out there, 90 degrees in Tallahassee, 86 degrees in Jacksonville. mostly rainy skies in the region. You know, I said hot one. We're almost in fall temperatures, Tawana, but hey, we're going to swing things over to you as you take us around the southeast.
Yeah, it's definitely hot pretty much everywhere in the southeast right now, except for the north of where the front has passed, like past in Mississippi, in Texas, and Arkansas. They're seeing a little bit cooler temperatures right now. But around the general southeast region, you can still see the front is having a great effect on the amount of rainfall that is occurring straight across the center of Florida. Look at that. There's just so much rain. It's just being inundated with rain at this very moment. Orlando, Tampa, Clearwater are just dealing with so much rain right now. As I zoom in a little bit closer, you can see just the rain scooting its way inland, and eventually, in the next couple of days, by Thursday, no more rain, cooler conditions, actually feeling like fall it is. And fall actually started on Sunday, but still feels a little bit like summer with those muggy conditions. It's hot, but by the weekend, we will not have to deal with that any longer. Currently around the southeast, however, you can see where it's slightly rain cooled, 68 in Atlanta, 77 in Montgomery. A little bit warmer since we didn't have as much rain as they had here in Tallahassee at 83. Down in Orlando, 80, still a little bit muggy and warm. That mugginess is shown by the dew point temperatures in the southeast area. A little bit less muggy in Atlanta, however, 62 for their dew point there, 73 back home here in Tallahassee. And the high point, 77 in Key West and 77 in New Orleans. But for a futurecast, you see that stationary front that's hovering over us right now is about to dissipate, and then a new front is going to come in. We're going to have a slight chance of rain, but then drier conditions, beautiful conditions, going to actually feel like it's fall time of year. You can maybe even break out those jackets in the evening. We'll see. That's for sure. For futurecast, you see the reds indicate more rain, the greens are more rain, and slowly, as we get into the end of the week, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, the rain chance slightly increases as the cold front moves through. But by Thursday, Friday, majority of it is gone. We will still have that slight chance, but otherwise going to be beautiful conditions. Tonight, low of 74 here in Tallahassee and 69 in Montgomery. For tomorrow, still that slight chance of rain, 90 for the high here in Tallahassee and 87 in Montgomery. But we'll send it back to the desk with Troy and Allie.
Alrighty, thank you, Tawana. Allie, I just can't wait for later in the week. We just see these, refreshing weather, fall-like conditions, because this right now is so really unsettled at the moment.
I know. I'm looking forward to some cooler and drier air as well, but the Northeast may not be seeing those conditions this weekend.
And there is indications in the model is that there is going to be a developing storm off the East Coast, and it could possibly affect the Mid-Atlantic and New England coasts later this weekend.
Wow. So it depends whether what happens in the Western Atlantic. It could make a track kind of like what Sandy did, except not as the same intensity.
Yes, and of course it will bring, if it does track near the Northeast coast, it will bring heavy rain, strong winds, and the possibility of rust. So just want to make sure to be tuned for that. But let's take it out to your last local with Jack. And Jack, just tell me, when are we going to see this fall-like weather?
Well, Troy, we have to deal with a little bit of rain tomorrow, but I think once that cold front pushes through, that's when we'll start dropping down in those temperatures. We won't be as muggy as we've been seeing for the past few days. But hey, checking out the local radar, we have a few spot-up showers earlier today, and I think the bulk of the rain tonight will stay towards Apalachicola and Franklin County and Liberty County. Won't quite make its way into the capital city region, into Leon or Wakulla County, but we pull up into a broader view of the satellite and radar. You'll see a strong set of storms making their way through Alabama, Montgomery, and I think we'll see some of those storms pushing through the region tomorrow. So be ready for that, but that will bring that cold front, which will start dropping down our temperatures. Currently, though, 83 at the airport, very overcast skies. That dew point is very hot, so we're very muggy and humid out there. Those winds are kicking up to 7 miles per hour. Current conditions across the Big Bend, 81 in Quincy, 84 degrees up in Bainbridge. We have some rain-cool temperatures, though, in Monticello, 77 degrees, as well in Perry, sitting at 77 as well. What we have in store for the next few days, we'll have that stationary front that's been giving us all those clouds in the region start drifting away, and we'll have that cold front push through, I think, around Thursday, around dinner time is that when that will push through, and that's where our drier, cooler air will be, which is going to be a nice relief from the muggy conditions that we had today. Futurecasts of rain of our model, what we can expect for the next few days. We'll have a bulk of rain pushing through the region on Wednesday, but once we make our way into Thursday, I think we could see a spot-up shower, mainly in our eastern viewing area, but keep that umbrella handy on Thursday. But once we make our way into the weekend, I think it'll be a great time to get out there and enjoy the nice fall weather. Tonight's forecast, though, we could see sprinkles of showers, mainly in the western viewing area. Mostly cloudy skies, though, for us here in Tallahassee. 40% chance of rain, but I think the bulk of that storms will stay to the west coast into Apalachicola, Franklin, and Liberty County. For tomorrow, though, what can we expect? We could see some sprinkles in the morning because that mist that we saw today, 74 degrees as we start today. As we make it into our lunchtime hour, 82 is what we're calling for. Scattered thunderstorms will be in the area. And then as we make our more afternoon commute, we'll see a high of 85 degrees, but we'll still see those storms lingering around. Beach forecast, not a great day to get out there. It will be very overcast. Smooth waters, though. Water will be at 82 degrees. Boating forecast, waves kicking up to 2 to 3 feet, smooth to light chop, but it will be overcast, so be wary of that if you go out there. Tomorrow's forecast, we're calling for a high of 87 degrees, 50% chance of showers in the area. I think that's when we'll see the bulk of the moisture. 7-day forecast showing us that once we get past those rain chances on Wednesday and Thursday is when we start clearing up. But we're going to swing things over to Allie and Troy as they send us off.
Thanks, Jack. Well, Troy, do you like snow?
Well, Allie, yes, I do love snow. Snow is so really refreshing and, just great, beautiful thing to see. And I sure hope that the Northwest likes snow because they could be seeing a good deal of it.
Yes, there's going to be a cold front going into the Rockies, and they're going to have high chances of snow within the next few days.
And that is due to the low pressure system that we talked about earlier in the show that is draping down across the Pacific Northwest, and the best chances for snow are going to be in Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana.
Yes. However, low-level valleys have a lesser chance for snow because the temperature might not be right. It might not be cold enough for snow.
That's just really good skiing weather, right now, even though we're still here in the fall season, of course, it wouldn't hurt, if you want to take a trip to your significant other to go skiing, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, let's look again at the 7-day forecast. Rain into Wednesday and Thursday. Great weekend coming up, and then rain chances start to increase again on Monday.
But in the meantime, you can like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather, or you can go into Twitter.com and /FSU Weather and follow us. And you can watch us anytime on livestream.com/FSU Weather. But in the meantime, I'm student meteorologist Troy Fields.
I'm student meteorologist Allie Keslick. Hope you have a great evening and a great day tomorrow.